Are you looking for some help as to who to start in your flex position? Or maybe like me, you stream tight end or QB in some of your leagues and you need to know which ones can get it done in week one? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to tell you. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Chris, about to dive into some sneaky starts you can use in week one, and let's start with the running back position. And let's jump into the game between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I've talked about this game a couple times. I already have Zeke listed as a bust this week. I'll tell you a little bit more why, but I'll also tell you why I really like Tony Pollard this week as a solid upside flex option. Think back to last year. These two teams squared off the very first game of the season, Thursday Night Football. What happened in that game? Dallas threw the ball 50 plus times. Zeke did nothing, got absolutely shut down, less than 40 total yards. Tony Pollard had 4 catches in that game. Why? Because you cannot run on the Buccaneers defense. I don't mean you can't run on them in the sense that you won't be effective. I mean teams don't even try to run on this defense. Only 366 attempts against them last year, which was by far the fewest in the entire NFL. We're looking at Ezekiel Elliott, who's not the same guy. He was fully healthy in that week 1 game when he totaled 39 yards. Okay, but Tony Pollard only had 4 catches, but that was with Michael Gallup on the field, Amari Cooper on the field, Dalton Schultz, CeeDee Lamb. They had other pass catchers. They don't have those guys right now. I mean, yeah, they have CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz, but Amari Cooper is gone. Michael Gallup won't be out there. James Washington, who they signed in the offseason, he's out with an injury. They don't have a lot of guys who can catch passes. Cowboys are going to have to throw the ball a ton again because that's the only way you can really attack this Tampa Bay defense. Zeke is not going to be effective. Maybe he'll fall in the end zone for you, but that's best case scenario. On the other hand, I see Tony Pollard catching 5, 6, 7, maybe even more passes in this game, which makes him an incredibly valuable play in PPR formats, and he has a ton of upside, and I think he's going to outscore Ezekiel Elliott this week. So if you have Tony Pollard and you're debating, your flex start, throw him in your lineup. I think he gets it done. All right, let's move on to another running back, this time in Miami, and that is Raheem Mostert. Not a guy I generally recommend playing, but it seems like things are lining up for him. Number one, they cut Sony Michel. He's out of the picture. What was once a very crowded Miami backfield is now a little less crowded. Number two, Myles Gaskin was terrible last year. I don't think Gaskin is going to have much of a role. Really like Chase Edmonds. I think Chase Edmonds is a solid start this week. I think he'll have a good game. But Raheem Mostert looks like he's the clear number 2 in this offense. And he has a history with head coach Mike McDaniel, of course, from his 49ers day. And what does Raheem Mostert bring to the table that not even Chase Edmonds can bring to the table? It's that one play, home run, take it to the house ability. This guy still has wheels. Even at 30 years old, this guy can fly. And McDaniel knows that, and he's going to try to get him in a position to hit a home run at some point in this game. Mostert comes with a lot of risk if you put him into your lineup because he could do basically nothing. He could get hurt in the first quarter, in the second half. We know the risk with Raheem Mostert, but at the same time, this guy can take one to the house on any given play. So if you're in a deeper league and you're desperate and you're shooting for upside, look at Raheem Mostert. Yeah, he could bust, but he could also boom. All right, let's move on to wide receiver now. Let's go to that Thursday night game. That should be a great game. That should be a shootout. And I'm going to talk about the Bills' other wide receiver. No, not Gabriel Davis. Everybody's talking about him. I'm talking about Isaiah McKenzie, their new slot wide receiver. We saw at the end of the season last year and through the playoffs, McKenzie had some really nice games, and he is now in that Cole Beasley role. They re-signed him in the offseason to take over that role. Why is this role so valuable? Because the Bills run 3 wide receivers on 71% of their plays in 2021, and there's no reason to think that is going to change. Some people thought they may run more 2 tight end sets when they signed O.J. Howard. Well, guess what? O.J. Howard's not even on the team anymore. So it's going to be what we saw last year. Stephon Diggs on one side, Gabriel Davis on the other, Isaiah McKenzie in the slot. Playing 70+% of the snaps connected to Josh Allen gives you huge fantasy value, especially in PPR formats. I think McKenzie's going to be a guy who's going to be an every week high floor PPR flex play, but this week I think he has a ton of upside because I expect this to be a shootout. I expect both teams to almost basically abandon the run, throw the ball a ton, and McKenzie has a legit chance to find the end zone this week. So if you drafted him, or if he's still on your waiver wire, he might be out there in some leagues, grab McKenzie, put him in as a flex. I think he gets it done here in week 1. All right, another kind of flex type wide receiver is Paris Campbell. A lot of people love Paris Campbell. We've just never seen this guy on the field. Injuries have plagued him his entire short career so far. But he has a role in this Indianapolis offense with Matt Ryan. We know Michael Pittman is going to smash this week. They're going up against Houston. Their defense isn't very good. Their secondary isn't very good. But don't sleep on Paris Campbell. Now, I know a lot of people like Alec Pierce, but Alec Pierce is a one play, either he hits a home run or he does nothing kind of guy. Paris Campbell gives you a decent floor in PPR leagues because everything we've heard from camp and everything we've seen in preseason lends us to believe that Paris Campbell is clearly the number 2 receiver, the number 2 target behind Michael Pittman. And Matt Ryan is still a very good quarterback. I've been saying it all offseason. A lot of you don't believe me, but you're going to find out this week that he can still play at a high level and a much higher level than Carson Wentz did. So having the number 2 receiver, the number 2 target for Matt Ryan is still extremely, extremely valuable. In this matchup, any of these pass catchers could score a touchdown this week. But even if he doesn't score this week, I think it'll be okay. He'll give you a nice high floor, again, in PPR type of formats. Another guy you can look at for your flex position this week in a great matchup, connected to a great quarterback in what should be a very good offense. All right, now what if you're streaming QB? Maybe you waited to pick a QB and everybody in your league grabbed 2 QBs. I see this all the time. Maybe you're streaming QB and you're looking at the waiver wire and you're trying to figure out who you should play this week. I'm going to say Jameis Winston. A lot of things to like about Jameis Winston here in week 1. Number 1, he has weapons. Assuming Michael Thomas plays, of course. He has weapons. He's got Michael Thomas. He's got Jarvis Landry. He's got the young rookie Chris Olave, who I really like. He's got Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. And number 2, they're playing the Atlanta Falcons. Enough said. I think we could see a big week 1 from Jameis Winston. 2, maybe 3 touchdowns. 300 yards might be on the high side because he may not attempt that many passes in this game. But I think he can give you a solid 250 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns, which if you're streaming quarterback, you'll take that every single week because that means you waited on the position and you should be stronger in other parts of your lineup. So again, if you are streaming quarterback, look at Jameis Winston. Love his matchup this week. Love his situation. Think he'll have a great week 1. And then finally, let's end with a tight end. And let's go out to Cleveland, home of fantasy goodness. Not really. But I do like David Njoku this week. I think there's a lot of things going in his favor. Whenever we're looking for tight ends, kind of on the waiver, sleeper tight ends who could break out, we're looking for guys who don't have a lot of competition for targets. Who do the Browns have? They have Amari Cooper, of course, but then what? Anthony Schwartz, who dropped everything in the preseason. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I do like, but he's kind of more of a deep threat guy, which gives David Njoku a great chance to have a high target share, which is what we need when we're looking at these streaming tight ends. The other thing is his quarterback. This is a guy who will target the tight ends. In his time in Miami, in the games he started, Mike Gesicki averaged 8 targets per game and had a 20% target share. There's not many tight ends who get 8 targets per game and have a 20% target share. We're talking about the elite tight ends, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, guys like that. I'm not saying David Njoku is going to be as good as those guys, but he's got that potential on any given week. And anytime you can stream a tight end who has that type of potential, you have to do it. So if you're like me and you typically wait on tight end in your tight end leagues, David Njoku is a great start, and I will be starting him in at least one league this week. David Njoku makes a great streaming start at the position this week. I think he has a really high floor in this offense, and if he's able to find the end zone one time, he'll give you a good ceiling as well. So those are some guys you can think about starting in deeper leagues or as flex options. But if you need to know who to start and who to sit at every position, start with running backs. Click right here and you'll find out exactly which running backs we think you should start and which ones you should sit. Good luck in week 1.